You are listening to Elevate with Dr. Cheryl Edinbyrd. Ask us about relationships. Ask us about birth. We talk about health and well-being. Elevate with Dr. Cheryl Edinbyrd is about the holistic treatment of people. You are listening to motivatingradio.com. Remember to like, share, and subscribe.
Grand Rising. Welcome to Elevate with Dr. Cheryl Edinbyrd on Motivating Radio. I am the owner and operator at the Tree of Life Birth Counseling and Wellness Center and the nonprofit Completely Fit, A Healthy Lifestyle, where we focus on maternal and mental wellness. We can be reached at www.thetreeoflifewellnesscenter.com and www.wearecompletelyfit.org. You can also reach us at our socials on Instagram at Tree of Life BCW and Completely Fit _midwifery _care. You can also send us an email at treeoflifewellnesscenterdfw@gmail.com. That's treeoflifewellnesscenterdfw@gmail.com. You can also reach me, Dr. Cheryl Edinbyrd, at 214-912-2614. Again, you can reach me at 214-912-2614. This is a beautiful morning on this morning to have the beautiful Miss Brown with me. We're going to talk a little bit about parental alienation and who truly is hurt during this time. Let's talk a little bit. Parental alienation, what is that? That is when one parent tries to damage a child's relationship with the other parent intentionally by displaying to the child negativity that's aimed at the other person. Now, the purpose is to damage the child's relationship with the other parent and turn the child against that parent. And today we have Ms. Brown, who's had a personal experience with parental alienation. But before we jump into that piece of it, there's more to Ms. Brown. And so on today, I would like for her to just take a moment and just share a little bit, whatever's in your heart to share, that you would like for individuals to know about you, not just the parental alienation. It can lead into that, but definitely just who are you as a person? You're a mother. Who is Ms. Brown?
Good morning. My name is Miss Brown. And actually, I'm a parent of two. I have a son and a daughter. I'm a single parent. And unfortunately, I have got caught up in a web of alienation, which I had no knowledge of initially. And it have caused a great amount of pain and suffering and time that we are not allowed to be able to get, not allowed to be able to get back, but unfortunately, unable to get back. I have a son and my daughter. They have two different fathers, and my son is the oldest. And unfortunately, I'm experiencing alienation.
Okay. How old is your daughter and your son, if you don't mind sharing?
My son is 15, and my daughter is 9.
Okay. And your daughter currently is with you, and your son, how long has he been not in your custody?
Okay. He have not been in my custody from the age of 8 till 15.
Okay.
So
Okay.
It's been 3 years now.
Okay. Okay. So, and not only has he not been in your custody, him not being in your custody also means that your daughter and your mother, who is his grandmother, hasn't seen him for how many years?
Oh, shoot. They haven't seen him or let's not hug him or lay eyes on him since 2019.
Okay.
And it's 2022. No, 23 now.
Okay. So this is a very tragic thing to think about and to consider, right? Like a mother who carried her child, hasn't been able to have her child in her presence for many, many years.
Yes.
Help us understand, how did you get here?
Unfortunately, it all led up from child support. I had my child from, day of birth until he was almost 9 years old. I was totally aware that his father should have been paying more. However, I didn't get into that. I didn't worry about that because my son was fine. He was blessed. And with that being said, child support, I guess apparently every so often they run numbers and check and see if people are paying the correct amount. With that being said, I received a letter from child support saying that they're going to take him back to court and increase his child support. Shortly, within perhaps 30 days of them increasing the child support and going to court, I was brought back to court by my son's father, um, and based on saying that I was not fit, I'm not in my right mind. All this started to take place after child support. And it's just
Mm-hmm.
ironic that all of a sudden I'm not a fit parent after almost 9 years after child support go up. So
Okay.
it led
So
from there.
just wanted to confirm, you didn't have a CPS case.
No,
The police, you didn't have any police reports. There was no psychological evaluations or anything like that. Just this person says you're not fit.
right.
And then from there, you did you guys go to court? Like, how did the judgment come down? Like, where did that come from? Because you were accused of being the parent that was alienating your child. And so, with the understanding of what parental alienation is, how did you see that in how you were engaging with your child? Did you even notice, knowingly or unknowingly, that you were doing anything that was turning your child against his father or displaying any negativity that was aimed towards his father that would influence him?
Well, actually, I haven't even heard the term of alienation. After being involved in the situation, that's when I came about of learning the term and what it was, and I had no knowledge of um, carrying on that way because I'm totally against alienation. Um, I have always had a history of encouraging my son father to be a part of his life, even though he refused. I have emails, and I found a wizard encouraged my son and his wife, my son's stepmother, to be a part. But none of that was brought in court,
Hmm.
um, unfortunately. But I am so against alienation.
Hmm. And when you say you're against alienation, I'm hearing you say you're against um, interfering with your child's relationship with his father, right?
Absolutely.
And I think that because your relationship with the father, your relationship with your son's relationship with you, and his relationship with his father are four different relationships, right?
Absolutely.
And so for you, you didn't want anyone to interfere in any of those relationships at all. Like, you play your role as a father to him and let him see what that looks like. I'll play my role as a mother to him and let him see what that looks like. So again, because I can only imagine the audience is wondering, okay, well, how did we get here, right?
Right.
So how was it explained to you that you did this act, like that you alienated your child from his father? How was that broken down and explained to you?
Actually, it really wasn't. I didn't have anything, any proof, uh, any indication that I even they weren't able to bring anything to court. That's what's so puzzling about it. They didn't
Okay.
have any act that I've done. Um, they
So
weren't
this
able
was
to.
clearly hearsay, his word
Yeah,
against your word, without
yeah,
any documentation to prove it, right? And I do remember that you had shared that you did do some psychological evaluations, right?
yeah.
Now, here's the thing about those psychological evaluations. Um, the one that you took and their diagnosis, right,
Right.
still did not have anything to do with parental alienation,
Absolutely.
right? So let's just say we go by the psychological evaluation. Let's just say, okay, let's say that your psychological evaluation of me is what it is, right? But in that psychological evaluation, nowhere did they say anything about that being a reason for them to say that you were alienating your son. Do you remember what the diagnosis was, if you
I
don't mind
remember.
sharing?
Oh, no, I remember they said something about I was schizophrenia, and they said
Okay.
something else. But actually, I wasn't really even looking at Dr. Siegel, Jeffrey Siegel, um,
Mhm.
test, evaluation test. He didn't even actually diagnose me.
Mm.
He was just basically throwing words out there. And if
Mhm.
anyone take the time out and look at his test results and his report, it don't even
Mhm.
have a diagnosis in there.
Mhm.
And with that being said, the test that Dr. Siegel
Hmm.
My son attorney requested him to do this test. That test that he did was not only
Hmm.
expired, but most importantly, it's not even a test that's valid in a child custody. It
Oh,
wasn't even
wow. Okay.
exactly.
So, the judge that ruled, was it a woman or a man?
It was a man. His name is
Okay.
Judge David Lopez, which wasn't able to finish out his term because of his careless, meaningless act.
Okay. So you have three men telling you that you don't know how to be a mother.
Yes,
Okay. Okay. So I just wanted to point that out. And then let's just go. I want to go back with this because I feel like it's important to highlight these things, right? You weren't diagnosed with paranoia where you could be telling your son, be careful of your dad. Watch out what he does. You weren't diagnosed with a diagnosis that would indicate that there is an underlining thing there that is going to have you speaking against your child's dad to your child, right? There was
right,
nothing in that because I know individuals who are properly medicated that has diagnoses that take care of their children perfectly fine. So this is not about a diagnosis.
right.
What do you think this is really about?
Unfortunately, it's all about power and control. And
Mhm.
when I was with his father, he was very controlling and even physically abusive. I mean, I even have police report that I had showing that he was physical with me, and also he was required to take anger management, but they were
Mm.
saying that they wasn't really holding him up to him. Well, how can I put it? They kind of like overlooked that.
Okay, so they didn't let that be admissible, but
Right.
they let a psychological evaluation that his attorneys
Mm-hmm.
wanted from you
Right.
with their mental health professionals, right?
Right.
They wanted that, and so that's what you did. You complied, but they
Right.
did not take into consideration the whole totality of the picture of the situation in the relationship with you guys. They just
Right.
took these small pieces and made a judgment on you, right? Okay. So what was that judgment?
The judgment was for me to go ahead and see Dr. Jeffrey Siegel and to get evaluated. But it's so ironic that before I got evaluated by
Mhm.
Dr. Jeffrey Siegel, I remember taking my son to the primary care doctor and also having, asking his father and his stepmother to come because my son father wanted my son to be evaluated for ADHD. And I'll
Mhm.
never forget my son stepmother told my child primary care doctor, oh, as soon as she gets this evaluation and test, is all over. But when she
Hmm.
said that, I wasn't thinking about what she said because it wasn't about me. It was about my son and all of us there for him
Hmm.
about regarding ADHD, which he doesn't have it, but that's a whole nother story. Um,
Mhm.
with that being said, it's just it just it's
Yeah.
so strange because my son father initially was
Mhm.
ordered to have a psychological test. However,
Mhm.
I did not realize that. I did not know that. And at that time, I had attorney by was Mr. Sivian, Daniel Sivian, and
Mhm.
he was there, but my attorney at the time, and the judge that ordered my son father to have the psychological evaluation test, which
Mhm.
was Judge Nicol, pronouncing his name wrong probably, Nicholas,
Mhm.
but he was associate judge,
Mhm.
and
Mhm.
unfortunately he had passed away,
Mm.
and I my court my hearing and things was kind of juggling around, but
Mhm.
I really feel that my son attorney went back and looked at the records and look at the
Mhm.
court hearings and things
Mhm.
like that and knows that he was required to do that, which he did not go through with that, and
Mhm.
decided to request for me to have the psychological
Right.
evaluation.
So, guys, you guys are joining Elevate with Dr. Cheryl Edinbyrd, where Miss Brown is talking about her experience with parental alienation. And if you're just joining in, I just want to remind you that parental alienation is where one parent tries to damage the reputation of another parent in the child's eyes. Um, whether that's by displaying negative things to them about the other parent, the purpose is to damage that child's relationship with the other parent and to turn the child against the other parent. We work with these issues at the Tree of Life. If anyone out there is experiencing parental alienation, is a bit confused about it, is having some experiences with it, is needing to do some DBT, which is dialectical behavioral therapy, reach out to us at the Tree of Life. You can reach us at www.thetreeoflifewellnesscenter.com. You can also reach out to our socials at Tree of Life BCW on Instagram. You can email us, Tree of Life Wellness Center DFW at gmail.com. And you can also reach me, Dr. Cheryl Edinbyrd, at 214-912-2614. Again, 214-912-2614. And right now we're going to dive a little deeper into what this has actually looked like for Ms. Brown in regards to once she received judgment from the judge, what year was that? And then what exactly were you given as a mother in regards to access to your child, as well as how does your daughter grow and develop with her brother? How does your mother, his grandmother, get to be a part of his life? So if you don't mind, take us back to the day. What year was it that they, passed down judgment? What was that? And then how does that look in your life from then to where we are now?
Okay. Actually, it initially all started back in 2015 with a court hearing, but however, the final hearing was like 2017, I believe.
Hmm.
And that's, from that point on, he was like officially with his father. Um, we started out with me having my weekends, which is standard, however, and
When you
but
say standard, was that every other weekend, holidays? What did that
mm,
look like initially?
well, I guess partial standard. I would see him like on the weekends for a little bit, and when I say weekends, meaning I would see him for a few hours, and then I would take him back, and shortly after that, I was no longer able to have him, take him away from FLP because we're, the exchange.
So did
Um,
that come after another? So at one point, I just want to be clear, you
okay.
could go see him on the weekends. Was that every weekend?
No, on
Okay.
the first, third, and fifth.
First, third, and fifth weekend. And when
Yes.
you say a couple hours, are we talking 2 hours?
Well, actually, like right now, it's just only 2 hours.
But back then, how many hours was it?
Back then, to be honest with you, so much have happened.
That's okay.
Dr. Shirley Bird.
That's
Um,
okay.
if
That's okay.
I want to say at the very beginning, it was just really traumatizing. Um,
Mhm.
but with that being said, I was able to see him like um, I want to say a few hours, and then I
Mhm.
would have to take him back. So he was never actually officially. Um, well, he was with me for a little bit.
Mhm.
I had to look back in the court orders and things like that,
That's
and but I
okay.
had to take him back. Make a
Just to
long
com- just to confirm, you were able to pick him up from
yeah,
FLP. And what
yes.
is FLP?
FLP is a place that where if there's any kind of type of dispute or something like that between two parents, you can either do exchange there, where one parent drop off the child
Mhm.
and other parent pick up the child, or they have
Mhm.
supervised visit to where
Okay.
someone is actually in the room and they like listen to what you're saying and monitoring if
Mhm.
you guys come or not.
Supervision. Okay. So
Right.
basically, you were able to get him, and let's just say, is it fair to say you would have 4 hours at a time with him?
At that time, I believe yes, I had
Okay.
had
So out of a month, you spent 12 hours because you saw him three times. 3 times 4 is 12. You spent 12 hours with your child out of a month.
yes, I can't remember
Okay.
exactly how many hours, but yes.
Okay. And then did that ever change?
Oh yes,
Did you guys
absolutely.
did you guys go back to court and then
Yes.
it changed? Okay. So tell me what circumstance that surrounded that.
Mhm. Um, Well, it all stemmed because my son unfortunately has peanut allergies, and unfortunately, when he was with me, I would make sure he has an EpiPen at school, his father's house, my house,
Mhm.
just having to transport an EpiPen
Mhm.
and things like that. So with that being said, I noticed that my son had came over and he didn't have like an EpiPen or his inhaler, and
Mhm.
so I went ahead and actually went to pharmacy and requested one because he came over without it, and
Mhm.
before I know it. Um, his father was aware, and what make it so bad, his father had EpiPen and inhaler. He just didn't send it over for whatever reason,
Mhm.
and so his father was aware of that, and he tried to do a basically emergency hearing. And thank God I wasn't scheduled to work that day, and I had to
Mhm.
go bring the medicine down to his attorney office to try to avoid that, which was it's more of a power thing
So
to be
I'm confused. I want to clear it up. Your son was in your care.
right.
He did not have what he need for emergencies like an EpiPen. You went and got one, not because he got sick. You just went and got one.
Oh no, I got one just in case because he's supposed to have an
Okay.
EpiPen at all times.
So, so what triggered his dad to then um, reach out to his lawyer?
From my understanding, they didn't want me to have any medicine in my possession unless his father sent it over.
Oh, was that in the court order?
At that time, I don't believe it was in the court order.
Okay, so anytime that something was happening that he didn't like, he would then have them adjust the court order,
Right,
and you just had to comply.
right.
Okay, so I just want to confirm. You get your son um, first, third, and fifth. You only get to spend 4 hours each time. So out of a month, that is a total of 12 hours. One weekend you have your child, and you make sure he has what he needs in case of emergency. And when his father finds out, which is how did his father find out?
Um, Actually, you know what? Yeah, I want to say he found out because unfortunately my son came over and his
Hmm.
stomach was bothering him, and I remember giving him like some Pepto Bismol, and I want to say that's stimulate this whole thing about me
Mm,
having any medicine in my care. But what parent wouldn't give their child some Pepto Bismol if their stomach is bothering them?
okay,
You know,
okay. So
and
when you
so
guys, hmm
I'm sorry. And if I remember correctly, I'm sorry, some things are coming back because so much have happened. During
hmm
that particular time, I believe actually it was 6 hours. I believe 6 hours, but now I don't even have 6 hours. I don't only have just 2 hours a month.
okay. So when you were seeing him, you had 6 hours. So 6 times 3 is 18.
Right.
Okay, so we went from 12 to 18 hours. This is your child. This is a month. 18 hours is less than 24 hours, one day, right? Okay. So fast forward, you go back to court, and then what did they allow you to have?
Well, at this point, to kind of bring it forward to current, I only have 2 hours with my son, and that's with supervised visit. I'm not allowed
Mm,
to take him outside of FLP facility, and I have 2 hours on the first and third,
mm-hmm,
no longer the field. Okay,
mm-hmm,
2 hours on the first and third, and sometimes I
mm-hmm.
don't even get 2 hours. Sometimes I may see him once a month, which is a total of 2 hours within 30 days, if not 31 days.
So why don't you get your time?
From my understanding, I'm alienating my son.
So, but what determines whether or not you get to see him? If you're scheduled, if it's court ordered that you get to see him, what
Right.
determines not seeing him?
Well, based
It's like
upon
you're being punished. Like,
right.
oh, you're on punishment, so you don't get to see him. Like, who gets to make that determining factor that you miss one of the only 2 days you have in a month?
Well, actually, my son father, he the one requests for me not to have this time. And like right now, for instance, for some years now, I don't, how it's normal for a child to spend time with both side of the family and
Hmm.
rotate the holidays. None of
Hmm.
that take place, and we
Okay, and
don't.
we're gonna move into that right now because I want to make sure that everyone understands what the implications of this truly is. We're talking about parental alienation, and we're in an unjust justice system that has taken your parental rights away. Your ability to be a mother has been stripped from you based off of a man's opinion about your ability to be a mother,
Right.
working with another man, which is his lawyer, who's supporting him, standing before a judge, which is a man, and all of these men are telling you that you're not being a good mother based off of them being a mother, I guess. I don't know. I'm being facetious. I'm sorry.
I understand.
It's just a little frustrating when we have these situations, just like Roe versus Wade. It is crazy for a man to be able to tell a woman what to do with their body, how to be a mother. They're not mothers,
Mhm.
right? They don't carry these children, but they have this ability. That's the world. That's the system that we're built on. It's a man's world, right? And
Mhm.
unfortunately, your family has been affected by this. So now we're down to 2 visits a month if your ex-husband, your child's father, doesn't have a problem with it, or he hasn't decided that they're going to do something on your particular weekend. Do they make up for the time that you don't get to see your child?
No.
So FLP doesn't work with you and him to say, we're here to make sure that the child is safe and that the family comes together, that the mother has the ability, like they're there with all of these, they're a nonprofit, true,
Right.
right? And they're there to say that their mission is to keep the family together and to make things safe. But when your days are canceled, no one at FLP is trying to help you reschedule your time so that they can make sure that your child has adequate time with you and visitation, correct?
Correct.
Okay. So you talk about your visitation. Help me understand, what does your mother, your daughter, his other side of your family's visitation look like? And first of all, when was the last time they saw him? What does that all look like now? And how has that affected your family as a whole?
It have really, truly, mentally, emotionally have affected not only my son, my daughter, my mother, which is my son, grandmother, and our entire family on my end. Um, Unfortunately, my son have not been able to connect or continue to build a relationship or have a relationship with his grandmother as well as his sister and other siblings. I'm not siblings,
Mhm.
but other family members since 2019. They hadn't seen each other. Let's not hug each other.
Mhm.
I had to actually fight to go to court to even be allowed to hear my son's voice on his birthday, the day I
Mhm.
gave birth. And
Hmm. Take your
it's very
time.
touching. Um, I even had to fight for that. But with that being said, I was barely able to get 15 minutes to have opportunity to speak to him on his birthday once a
Mhm.
year, and that's the only phone conversation that I'm allowed to have. And with that being said, um, I share that 15 minutes with my um, daughter and my son grandmother as well. Okay,
Mhm.
and that's not a lot of time for all three of us to talk. So therefore, I don't hold a lot of conversation with him. I talk to him, but I'll try to allow them to talk, do the most, the more talk more, because that's the only time they have an opportunity to hear his voice and hear their voice. So
Right.
I'm sorry, I'm a little emotional.
That's okay. Take your time. Take your time. If you need to get a drink of water, do so. Take care of yourself.
But it's sad that I even had to fight for 15 minutes, and it's saying that they even wanted me to pay $1,000 for my son counselor to even sit in to even hear our conversation for 15 minutes. But thank
Oh,
God,
wow.
yeah, thank God I don't have to do that, which I'm surprised. But
Yeah. Yeah.
it's just really rough knowing that my kids miss each other and not allowed to have opportunity to be with each other as well as my mom. Um, it's really rough. We
Yeah,
have
it's
that.
it's extremely sad. This is something that no parent, mother or father, should ever experience, right? And so it's ironic that um, they listed that the reason why you're going through all this is because of
Mhm.
parental alienation.
Right.
And we would hope that there was a better way to deal with this. Because let's say it was true. Let's
Mm-hmm.
say that you did have a moment when, and who doesn't? Because I believe that there are many parents that have moments when they may inadvertently or intentionally say things about the other parent. That's not always great. But does that
No.
mean that they have to be stripped of their rights, right? But also, it's ironic because parental alienation, when one parent tries to damage the child's relationship with the other parent intentionally by displaying to the child negativity aimed at the other parent, it's interesting that it sounds like the system has done that to you. They've alienated you from your child. They found a way to strip every ability for you to connect with him away. Your child has gone through, um, being a teen to, adolescent, young adult, and you're missing out on all of that. He's in high school. Um, from my understanding, you're not allowed. There's that word, right? Where's the freedom in that in these ununited states of America, the land of the unfree? You're not allowed to go to your child's games, any of his honors at school. Like you don't have a part of your child's life at all, literally. And we're talking about parental alienation, and the system has alienated you. They have made sure to put things in place that purposely damages your relationship with your child. You don't even have a relationship with your child. And all of these systems are supposed to say, like, oh, we're here to make sure that there is a good parental relationship. And first of all, who determines that?
Wow.
Right? Who determines that? Who determines what a good relationship looks like? And may I ask you this, right? Just from a cultural standpoint, the people that made these decisions, right? They didn't spend time getting to know you, your culture, getting to know him, his culture, getting to know the environment and the dynamics. No one came out and did like a home study or any of these things. They just made a judgment based off of what one person said towards another, right? Hurt people hurt people. So definitely you're hurting. Um, these people made these decisions to alienate you from your child just based off of hearsay. And I'm not trying to be funny or anything like that, but I do want to know. Um, your husband's attorney, what's his ethnicity?
Well, actually, I understand that. Actually, my son and I, father, have never been married, thank God.
Oh,
But that's okay. I know you have a lot of clients. But with that being said, my son attorney is Caucasian,
okay.
um, and they did have another Caucasian lady come out by the name of Jessica, not yeah, Jessica Rogers, that do evaluation, but that's a whole nother story.
hmm Was any advocates there for you?
No,
Okay. So no one, the system really wasn't looking at the whole totality picture of what's best for this child. They were just looking at the negativity that was thrown towards you, right?
right.
Again, I want to talk about parental alienation. It says, when one parent tries to damage the child's relationship with the other parent intentionally by displaying to the child negativity aimed at the other parent. And as I'm talking to you, and I'm sure as the audience is listening, the negativity was aimed at you. So who truly did the parental alienation, right? Now, who truly gets hurt? Your son doesn't know his sister.
Right.
He doesn't know his grandmother. He doesn't know his mother. Because we know as days go by, we're talking about elevate with Dr. Cheryl. We should be elevating to a higher vibration. And who we are tomorrow is different than who we are today.
True.
And you've missed very integral parts of your child's life. Well, your young man's life,
Right.
right? Because he left as a child.
Yes.
He became an adolescent and he's a young man. And you've missed all of those significant times, right? Not to mention his sports, his academics, You don't have access to any of that. You don't know if he's passing. You don't know if he's failing. You don't know anything.
Well, it's ironic because when he was with me, I was totally active. I was his coach on his team. I
Mm-hmm.
was totally involved with things that he had going on in school, outside of
Mm-hmm.
school. I was, and it just
Mm-hmm.
so hurtful to all of a sudden just be totally cut off.
Right.
And I just can't explain. We really truly miss him, and I know he missed us. I mean, my daughter
Mm-hmm.
praying every day, just as myself and my
Mm-hmm.
mother every day, that we'll have a relationship, a bond.
Right. So let me ask, I have a couple of requests. One is, if for some reason your son has access and he happens upon this video, what would you like to say to him on today?
Well, we most definitely love him unconditionally, and we truly miss him. And we really hate that he has been robbed, and we have been robbed of time together. And time is precious, and we're going to continue to pray that we'll be
Mm-hmm.
able to spend time with each other like we used to, and should be allowed to.
Mm-hmm.
Um,
And I want to. There's something about that word "allowed" that really bothers me. I did a show last night, and every time I heard it, I had to point it out. You're free. You shouldn't have to be allowed to be a mother. The fact that you carried your child, that is your God-given privilege, and that has been taken away from you. And there's no man above him, right?
no,
So we know that you know this will be corrected. We just don't know when, we just don't know how. But we know that, God is not mocked. Whatsoever man sow, that shall he reap, right?
yeah.
For any families that are struggling and going through this, what would you like to share with them?
Oh Lord.
Mm-hmm.
Well, one of the things I would like to share is that I have had several different attorneys that have basically just taken the money, did not
Mm-hmm.
look out for my son's best interest, and I have begged attorneys to try to even take my case. And it seemed like once they find out who my son attorney was, they have no desire to take the case. And with that being said, I'm just totally desperate
Mm-hmm.
to
Mm-hmm.
have a relationship with my son and the rest of us. I begged some attorneys to take my case. And I
Mm-hmm.
would strongly encourage anyone that come across attorney that do not want to take their case, do not waste time or put money out there, because there's a reason why they don't want to take the case.
Mm-hmm.
So therefore, I want to say anyone that don't want to do something, therefore they're not going to put their full effort in doing
Into
what's
it.
right. It
Mm-hmm.
has to be something wrong. Um, and I also want to say that it's insane how politics is all about who you know, um,
Mm-hmm.
and the connection,
Mm-hmm.
and it can make a big difference in
Mm-hmm.
what direction your case go into.
Yeah, yeah. Ms. Brown, I truly appreciate you coming on today. And this isn't a story that you're sharing. You're sharing your heart. And I want you to know I truly appreciate you allowing yourself to be in this space with me and allowing me to be in a space of vulnerability with you. Okay. It is through our window of vulnerability that people truly see our authenticity, right? Our heart truly was there. And I feel like being able to share this on today lets people truly see your heart. Let people
Yeah,
truly know who you are as a person. And things that are hidden stay hidden. And we don't want to hide anymore. So
no,
I want to thank you on today for sharing your heart, for allowing the people out there to know what you're experiencing and what you're going through. Now, listen, you're not the only person going through this, right? Um,
right,
I realized when I had to help a mother and a father fight a CPS case that a lot of times we're removed from these things because it's not happening to us directly. But what we have to realize is it may not be happening to us directly, but we're just one phone call away from someone taking someone else's word against us and running with it,
right,
right? Based off of like their own preconceived ideas about who we are when they see us, when they talk to us, whatever that is, right?
Right.
Preconceived, because they did not thoroughly investigate this on your behalf.
No.
They didn't. And so because of that, your son has lost time with his family. Your son does not know his family.
No.
And it's unfortunate that we are talking about parental alienation today, because really we said who gets hurt. And a lot of times people will say, oh, the child. Well, talking with you today, everybody,
Yes.
everybody in this situation is hurt. Everybody. Even his father, who thinks that he's doing the best thing. Mentally and emotionally, this is not just damaging to you, your daughter, and your mother. This is damaging to your son. And
Yes.
one day, he's going to turn to his father and want to know, how did we get here?
Right.
And truths have to come out about this story. And then there's a damage, right, done. Because then your son has to figure out, what does he do with this? And how does this affect him as a father?
Right.
How does this affect him in relationships? See,
Mm-hmm.
what we fail to realize is that our decisions have an impact that goes far beyond ourselves, especially when we have children.
Right.
So I want to encourage anyone that's out there on today that if you're struggling, do not suffer in silence. There is help. There is someone there to assist. And if you aren't sure and you need some support, reach out. My name is Dr. Cheryl. You can reach my website, www.thetreeoflifewellnesscenter.com. You can also reach our nonprofit at www.wearecompletelyfit.org. Our emails are treeoflifewellnesscenterdfw@gmail.com. Again, that's treeoflifewellnesscenterdfw@gmail.com. You can also reach me at completelyfitahl@yahoo.com. And you can give me a call, 214-912-2614. Again, that's 214-912-2614. Guys, this is Dr. Cheryl Edinbyrd. Thank you for joining Elevate with Dr. Cheryl Edinbyrd on Motivating Radio. Thank you so very much. And may you guys have a blessed and prosperous day. Peace and blessings. Goodbye.
You are listening to Elevate with Dr. Cheryl Edinbyrd. Remember to like, share, and subscribe.